Thanks for joining us today on New England Living. I'm your host, Rachel Holt. Coming up, we're heading out to Thacher Island off the coast of Rockport for a stunning look at one of New England's best-kept secrets. Rich in history and bursting with wildlife, Thacher Island is most known today for its 2 fully operating lighthouses. And while there are several ways to access the island, I'm hitching a ride on the Thatcher launch with Captain Marty Smith. Hello, thanks for having us.
Well, welcome aboard.
The journey out to the island is almost as gorgeous as the destination, with stunning views of the shoreline and wildlife along the way. As we pull up to the ramp, I'm warmly greeted by my guide for the day, author, historian, and Thacher Island expert, Paul St. Germain.
Hi, Rachel. Welcome to Thacher Island. Nice to see you.
Thanks for having us. How about this day we have?
It's a great one. And we have a very large island, so you ready to walk?
We got a lot of work to do, it sounds like.
We do.
What's your favorite part about the island?
I still think the favorite part is climbing the towers. It's 156 steps to the top. When you get to the top and they open the door and the breeze comes in, it's just magnificent. It's the greatest place in the world to be.
It's a really scenic walk to get here.
It is.
When you're getting here, though, you really get a sense of the size of Thacher Island.
That's right.
How big is this island?
It's about 54 acres. It's split in half in terms of ownership. The 20 acres on the north side is owned by U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and they keep that end of the island as a wildlife refuge. The southern part of the island, the other 34 acres, is owned by the town of Rockport. We've got 3 miles of walking trails. They also own this tower right here. This is what we call the North Tower, and the 2 keepers' houses behind us.
The stars of the island are, of course, the lighthouses.
Yes.
Give us an idea of how unique it is to find twin lighthouses.
The lighthouse community had about 7 twin lights, all on the East Coast, on the Atlantic side. Today, there's only 1 totally operating twin light, and that's Thacher Island. Most lighthouses are usually built at harbor entrances to guide ships into the harbor. This was the first lighthouse put together, twin lighthouses, to mark a dangerous spot in the island. And the reason they put the 2 towers near each other was that the only other lighthouses that can be seen from the ocean side coming from Europe is Portsmouth Lighthouse in the harbor of Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and Boston Light in Boston Harbor. So when mariners came across and they saw 2 lights close together, they could know that this was Thacher Island. We make trips during the week for tourists. Each boat can carry a maximum of 6 people. We come out on Tuesdays to Strathmouth. We come out on Wednesdays and Saturdays on Thatcher.
And we can certainly hear the seagulls. They're very happy to be on this island. Give us a sense of the wildlife that we can find here.
I think at last count, there were 38 species of birds on this island.
The lighthouse keepers that are on the island, obviously their job nowadays is a lot different than it used to be back in the day.
That's right.
But what do their roles look like?
They do a lot of the same things that the old keepers do in terms of painting and upkeep, replacing windows, whatever. You'd be surprised how many seagulls fly through these windows.
This week's lighthouse keepers, Scott and Julie Bisgard, come all the way from Tennessee to take part in this unique tradition. Given that times have changed and technology has changed, how is your job as a lighthouse keeper different than it might have been back in 1771 when these first came about?
Well, obviously the lighthouse keepers of the past worked hard. They didn't have that opportunity to go back and forth on shore. They didn't have a cell phone to call for help. So they planted their gardens, they planted their apple trees. They had to cart the oil up and down the steps, whereas we get off the boat with our frozen food and we get on the trailer and we bring it up to the house. Everything is run by solar or the generator. So it's just so much easier. We do a lot of troubleshooting, but I have a good mechanical person with me, so I don't have to worry about that.
Still a lot of work to do, it sounds like, though.
There is.
Yeah, and we can keep busy all day long. We don't have much to do with the lighthouse, but maintaining the island for people to enjoy it. I'm usually cutting trails, mowing trails, keeping everything ready for visitors.
Most people have probably only seen this island from the water. Once you're here, what is there to see? What is there to do?
You can walk up the lighthouses. There's a museum here. There's a whistle house that has a small foghorn museum in it. There's a campground. You can come out here and camp overnight. There's picnic tables to have lunches and stuff like that. The kayakers love coming out here. It's awesome.
I think they need to experience the beauty and maybe appreciate the history that's here. It's almost like a step back in time when you come out here. I think there's a real passion for the people around here to preserve it. And I think there's also a passion for them to pass that on to the younger generation, just so that they can appreciate where they're growing up and what's here.
I think people are learning as the days go along how historical this site is. We pride ourselves in making it as accessible as possible for people. Once they get out here, word of mouth starts because they just can't believe the work that's been done and how it is so well documented historically.
And where else are you going to find a scene like this?
The only other lighthouse as tall as these, with a singular lighthouse, is Thacher Island up in Maine, which is about 20 miles off the coast. So this is much easier to get to. So